What's up, Steve?
What's up, Tyler?
Podcast 8, episode 8, back from spring break.
Yes, sir.
Here
Today,
we go.
we're going to talk about lessons from the gym today.
We are.
I'm going to start off with a quote.
Our quote from Gandhi goes something like this. Strength does not come from physical capacity. It comes from indomitable will.
I like that. It kind of alludes to the point of how everyone's born with different, physical attributes,
Talent.
different talents
Yeah.
for different aspects. Some people are more skilled at certain things in life, but one thing that you have control over is your will.
Yeah. So, Steve, when did you start working out? When did you get into the gym?
Yeah, so I've had a bit of an on and off journey. I started really seriously in 10th grade when I was really into basketball, and I wanted to learn how to dunk. So
Yeah.
I was part of this whole dunk training program.
That's sick.
But then I was working out a lot, 2 hours a day for like 3-4 months, and then after that I kind of just stopped because I transferred schools to Shanghai, and then started doing other things like playing rugby and other sports. They just kind of got faded to the background.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of kids in America, like when I was in 7th, 8th grade, and I was getting into high school sports, and I remember just strength and conditioning got so big. And if you weren't working out in the gym, you were the loser. So that's
what it was.
Straight up, dude. In America,
That wasn't what it was like.
It was like that. If you weren't in the gym, everyone was obsessed with your maxes, from a young age. So
Since what, middle school for you?
dude, since 14 years old, 15 years old,
That's
what are
crazy.
you benching?
Well, every school is different. Every state,
Yeah.
city. But
I guess I grew up in a very sports heavy community.
big
that might be
football
why.
community.
Yeah,
yeah,
where
that's
it
probably
was,
a big
it's
thing
what
too.
numbers you putting up in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
which kind of leads us to our first point: is that success looks different for everyone.
Yeah,
The weight you're pushing might be a lot different than someone else, but nonetheless, it's still valuable to you, and it still means a lot. And something you kind of learn throughout the years is your potential and your success is not compared to someone else's and where they're at in their journey. And it kind of goes back to this theory that we have is you're building your own house. You're laying your own foundation and establishing your own success. And ultimately it comes down to the idea that comparison is a thief of joy.
yeah,
Jump into that.
yeah. It definitely is a thief of joy, and it's easy to say wow, maybe I shouldn't compare because that's good for me. But when you think about it logically, it makes sense too, because life is not a linear path. Even outside of the context of the gym, some people compare to others. Wow, he has this better job than me. He's got a job at Goldman Sachs, whatever, and I have a job at a smaller bank, whatever.
Right.
But then 2 years down the road, you completely pivot your career, and then 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, there's no way we can ever predict the future. And sometimes a different path leads to greater results because that's the path for you, right?
Right.
And that applies to the gym too. And when everyone starts at a different time, there's always going to be people more quote unquote ahead of you in your eyes and behind you, but it's never that black and white.
I think that's so relevant, especially for business at our school at USC, where everyone's peacocking their accomplishments on LinkedIn and
everyone's like, oh,
social media.
Just got a new job.
I got this internship at Google, or I'm working at this firm, and it just seems like everyone has their shit figured out, but and you might be left behind. But in reality, everyone has their unique struggles, and comparing yourself is a fool's game, and it's a short-sighted vision. And so that kind of goes into the thing where the grass isn't greener, it's greener where you water it. So focus on your unique journey and just kind of dive into that and focus on yourself and yourself alone. You have any tips for doing that? Or what that process looks like?
What, watering your greens?
Yeah, watering your... I don't know if that's the way to say it.
I like that quote a lot. I mean, everyone knows, or everyone always says, grass isn't greener on the other side, because you never really know what it's like in someone else's shoe. But the grass is greener where you water, where you're standing, because you do have control over what you're doing. And as long as you're improving and better than your former self from the past.
It's kind of funny because some of the people I look up to the most, the most successful people I know, whether it's in the gym or just in the business world or whatever it is, they seem to be the most humble about it, and the most helping to others who are figuring it out still. And it reminds me of this quote where there's nothing notable about being superior than your fellow man, but being superior to your fellow self, your past self. So just I don't know. It's kind of funny to me that people that are most successful are the people that are the most willing to lend a hand and to help others who aren't as successful, quote, as they are, you know? And whether that's the gym or in real life, like it's super applicable. And that kind of goes into the process of something you've mentioned where anything worth having takes time.
Yeah. Yeah. So to jump off our point about how success looks different for everyone else, there's this quote I like. It's called, "It's not the mountains we conquer, but ourselves." So it might seem like someone else is tackling a bigger mountain and making bigger progress, but it's not about what you quote unquote accomplish in the world, but it's about your will over yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You don't accomplish anything like a podcast being successful, for example, it could be partly due to luck. You winning an internship could be partly due to luck. But what you do have control over is how much you prep for the job interview, how much time you put into this podcast, how much time you put into the gym. You might put the same amount of time as someone else, and they might have better gains, growing their chest or legs or whatever, because they're genetically built that way.
Yeah.
But
you're building your own house.
You're building your own house.
Yeah. And that's kind of funny because I think the gym is one of the most fair places on earth. There's a lot of things that you can control, and it's your input equals your output. The results are the work you put in correlates with those results you get. So, I mean, it's about if you're eating right, if you're going consistently daily, if you're getting proper sleep, if you're focusing on recovery more than someone else, like you're going to see progress. And it's really just about how disciplined you are, how focused you are to accomplish that. So if you can just focus on the controllables, you're going to see results. And I think that really motivates me for life in general, that if I keep doing, these LinkedIn reach outs, or if I continue to apply for jobs like consistently and meet with people and explore industries consistently and do the things I know I can control, then it's going to pay dividends. You know what I mean? Or show up to work on time before everyone else, whatever it is. Like doing the little things and focusing on the controllables is going to get you the results you're looking for. And that's something I just learned from being in the gym for multiple years.
Yeah. And I think we talk about the gym a lot, but like you said, it really is a good analogy for a lot of things in life. One of the quotes we have up here is Rome wasn't built in a day. And the gym perfectly encapsulates that, because you don't get jacked after working out for a day.
No, and everyone wants to quit after like a month. Right. I know so many people that get so motivated to go. And then once it gets boring, once they slow down, once they aren't seeing results, once they plateau, whatever it is, that's when they stop going.
Right.
And I don't know, you have to dig deep and figure out the process.
But that's the same thing for like a lot of things in life.
Mm-hmm. Completely.
Maybe everything in life, really.
Literally, people get sparks of motivation to film a video, to start a podcast, and then don't want to carry it or see it through. And the biggest thing to do is just do it. Just hit record. Just start doing the thing, going to the gym, and finding what you love in that process.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So I have a good point I want to touch on here. A lot of people don't know what they should be working towards, right? What house they should be building. Because we talk a lot about motivation.
Yeah, sure.
A lot of people might ask, what should I be motivated about? So we talk about fitness because fitness, I think, is a good foundation for almost everyone. Yeah. It's without health, you don't have really anything. But it ties back to the point of, if you don't know what you're passionate about, work on something. Work on something that's fundamental. Like if you know the gym is good for you, go to the gym. If you know your grades aren't there, go study more for your classes, right? Put all your effort into things that you know are fundamental, things that are obviously things that will make your life better. Yeah. Work on those first before you find out if you feel aimless towards what to be motivated about.
I think it's funny, like when you get involved in something, when it's hard, like you're either going to push through or you're going to quit. And most of the time, the people that push through are just passionate about what they're doing. They love it. Like when they fail, I told you the story earlier. I don't know if it directly relates to what we're talking about, but it's with Cole Bennett. And he was filming videos for these rappers in Chicago for when he was our age, like young 20s. And he wasn't really seeing that much income from it, or he wasn't sure about his future, but he really just loved like hip hop and he loved recording videos. Mm-hmm. So what he did, he had this huge break when the Migos reached out to him to record this video, and he edited it and recorded it for 4 months. And then Quavo comes and says, yeah, we're going to scratch the project. We're not doing it. And so many people would have been just crushed and would have stopped right there and wouldn't have kept going. But he was so in love with the whole idea of filming and the journey and the process of it that he just continued doing it. And I mean, now he's Forbes 30 under 30, and he has this crazy. He's Lyrical Lemonade, this crazy company where he can do whatever he wants, has the resources to film whatever he wants. So I mean, it's when things get hard, people quit. But if you love what you're doing, you're going to keep going. And I love the gym, and that's something I've always been extremely passionate about. And there's so many times where I've plateaued or felt like I've been stagnant with my numbers, but it's just the process of going every single day, and I love being in the flow state of the gym. So that's something I'm trying to find, like the real world. I think everyone is our age, 22-year-old adults, just figuring out what they love.
Yeah, and you have to learn to love the process too, because like
Absolutely.
we said, these things take so much time, and it's not to say that the payoff won't come. It will come, and it will be a big payoff, but it will take time. And if you don't understand or don't figure out a way to enjoy the process, it's going to be grueling.
Anything worth having takes time in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think we live in this society where we want everything now. We want instant everything. But we have to realize that if we want the result, like we have to do the countless hours and the mundane tasks of getting to that result.
Yeah.
So, and you can't do that unless you truly love the process, I think.
Yeah. I definitely would agree that our generation is very much bombarded with messages of get rich quick.
So frustrating.
Post this Instagram post, get likes immediately.
Yeah, or like
17-day diet.
Yeah,
Yes.
diet things are insane. That's another good point. Like people think like the process of losing weight is so simple. Like to eat this, stick to this diet for a week or two, and you're gonna lose 10 pounds or lose 10 pounds of body fat, whatever it is. But that's just not the case. Like you have to be in a caloric deficit for months, to be honest with you, to lose actual fat, and you have to do it right. If you're doing a diet that's way too hard for you, you're not going to stick to it. So I've heard the best diets are the ones you could actually stick to, not the ones that are just so over the top. So I mean, it comes down to just like finding something you could stick with, I think.
Yeah.
And diet's a great example of that. Just like in like your daily process with work, I feel like when we get into like the workspace, like how can we maintain working 10 hours a day? You know what I mean? Like you have to find, like, you have to tie the process in with the why. Like, why are you doing it?
Yeah. I know we talk about entrepreneurship sometimes, so I can kind of tie a point about what we're talking about the gym to entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I was talking to a buddy of mine about Phil Knight. He's going to come on the podcast, so be tuned out for that. But Phil Knight was founder of Nike, and his company almost failed like 100 times. And we hear the story over and over again. Like, why do these guys keep going? It's because he was truly passionate about shoes and performance and athletes, because he wrote a paper about it in college. It's just like Cole Bennett. If he wasn't passionate about shooting videos, editing them, working with rappers, he would not like spend 4 months editing a video for the media.
There's so many of those famous failures. I love looking at those. Like the author of Harry Potter got turned away multiple times from all these book publishers. Never gave up.
Yeah.
Nike failed multiple times. Steve Jobs got fired from Apple when he was 30, and he got begged to come back 10 years later. But you just have to be ingrained in it. Like you just have to like really love this shit you're doing.
Yeah. And be completely immersed. It's like the diet thing. When people think about diets, they hate it. It's like, well, I'm going to induce pain to myself for 14 days and I'm going to get skinny. No, that's not how it works. Right. You have to learn to love to cook and make healthy food and just change your lifestyle to the point where it is acceptable and something that you can enjoy.
And we read this book called Atomic Habits, where you want to start having self-talk with yourself to form this identity. So for me, I've never really been quite of a runner. I'm extremely into like powerlifting and lifting weights. That's always been natural for me because I love doing it. But running is something I've always had difficulty with, and it's been hard for me. So I've always had a problem just going on runs. But I'm starting to tell myself I am a runner, or this is what a runner would do: is get off the couch or whatever it is and go run a couple miles.
Make it part of your identity. Make it part of what you love.
Right? Yeah, and if you consistently form a habit into your identity, it becomes your nature to do it. So that's something I'm trying to do with running. Do you have anything similar? Reading. I think reading. I'm a reader.
I'm trying to be a better reader. Well, it goes back to the point about working out. Like, I took a big break since sophomore year of high school. And I didn't really commit to it until junior year of college.
Yeah.
But it's not about like, oh, I have to work out now. It's about I am someone that works out. Like, this is just part of what I am.
Right. Yeah. I'm a gym rat.
Yeah, I love it.
This is part of who I am.
Yeah.
I think it also helps like you're surrounded by people like that.
Yeah.
Obviously, like our whole roommates are obsessed with it.
Find your tribe.
Yeah. Your tribe should subscribe to your identity. Another key point from Atomic Habits.
There you go. Yeah.
But I don't know, dude. That's overall our lessons and takeaways from the gym. Success looks different for everyone. Everyone has their unique journeys and paths they're taking. Mm-hmm. Anything worth having takes a time and the grueling process to get there, and then finding a way to love what you're doing.
Because it does take time. Yeah,
right. And it does take hard really hard.
But it's the most rewarding thing ever. Not working out in particular, but just anything worthwhile.
Right.
That does take time. That's not expedient.
Right. Exactly. Well, that sounds pretty good to me.
It's great. I think we've been on here.
All right. Podcast 8.
Till next time.
In the books.